couldn't think of a better way to end this wild year than with the last episode of part 1 of season 4 of Manifest. So even though my first few Manifest videos were made at like the middle to end of 2021, 2022 was the year they all started to really gain traction, and from there, well, we are here. But what I'm trying to say is thank you guys for an amazing year. Without you, 2022 would have sucked and we would have not gotten the views that we got. But before we get into this recap, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification button. Next year, we're going to have all types of content and, of course, more Manifest videos. So let me know in the comments some of your favorite moments of this year. Could be personal, could be Manifest related, could be general pop culture, but I really want to know. Tell me about the good things in your life. But with all that being said, my episode 9 and before recaps are linked in the description, so if you need a quick recap in general, you know where to go. But let's get into episode 10, Manifest Season 4, Inversion Illusion. Alright, I'm not necessarily against the opening scene, it was just so much that it kind of took me out of it. Maybe it was like the CGI or something, I don't know. But Angelina is a full-on villain now that she has the Omega Sapphire, and she's got like a mini earthquake trailing behind her. We just can't get rid of her, man, and now she's gonna ruin it for everybody else. But back at the stone house, and you can just feel the dark cloud looming over them. Mick is seeing ashes, and Cal is sicker than ever. Good news is Egan is awake, and Jared is on the way to figure out what happened to him. Then we get the scene that, well, was one of the scenes that everybody was talking about on Twitter. No lie, when I watched it, even for like the 3rd time, when I heard Grace's voice, I kind of just jumped a little bit. But yeah, Ben has a calling of Grace up in the attic, and she weirdly says, "You need to bring Eden to me, it will all make sense," as she fades away. Weird vibes, but Ben thinks he needs to take Eden to Grace in order to save Cal. Mick and Jared head to see Egan, and we learn what we already knew. Angelina knocked him out and took the Sapphire. But then Mick has a calling of what I'm gonna describe as the Angel of Death, and it shatters right in front of her. CGI was pretty busted on here, I'm not gonna lie. God, Zeke is just such a great fucking guy, man. Ben brings Eden to the cemetery and he sees Grace again. But this time she says she needs to give Eden back to Angelina. No, this is a fake calling from Angelina, god damn it. And of course, Eden runs over to her and Angelina has a gun. Honestly, I'm just gonna skip over this. Ben gets away with Eden and we get some of the worst, if not the worst CGI of the series so far. Come on guys, what is this? But Angelina screams with a sapphire in her hand and it causes every single passenger to freak out. The Stones plus TJ get together and we can now confirm that Angelina has the power to create callings for any passenger with the Omega Sapphire. As they theorize to where she might be, Mick brings up her calling from earlier with the Angel of Death, and Olive remembers that Angelina had that same calling in season 3. She has to be at that same church, so Ben and Mick head that way. And then Zeke waits back with Cal barely alive. We know what's coming. Upstairs, I can never say this. Upstairs, Teen Detective, I just really like that name for them, is doing what they usually do, and TJ somehow was able to get a hold of the papyrus again. Another word I can't say, papyrus. They notice on it that the woman has a hole in her chest just like on the wall, so they think if they can get the Omega back, this will tip the scales of judgment and save their lifeboat. But they don't know what to do with the sapphire when they get it, and TJ thinks it was written on here with blue ink, but it faded away. And somehow Olive gets the idea to use an infrared light camera to see if it's still there. Cut over to Ben and Mick in the church, and there are cracks in the ground with lava and fire coming out, and a bunch of people are stuck there behind it. And Angelina is looking up at the stained glass window saying that she didn't need to find an angel, referring to Eden. She is the angel. And we can assume this means the Angel of Death. As she starts to pray to it, Mick pulls up and tries to stop her, but Angelina's all, "We're gonna die anyway. God sent me as his archangel to kill evil and save the righteous." Yeah, she's on some cult leader shit now. But she uses the Omega to give Mick a fake calling of her dead friend, which leads to her losing her gun. Why did no one give Ben a gun before that? You know what? It doesn't matter. Cut over to the bird's nest and the sample of Cal's scar is glowing, but before we can get some answers, we cut back to Teen Detective as they can now read the invisible ink. It's not words but dots around the lady with one in her chest to represent the sapphire. And Olive recognizes that they are in the same pattern as the star constellation Draco, or the dragon, and the tail of the dragon touches the scale on the papyrus. But you know how Manifest does it. Before we get some answers, we cut over to Cal on his literal deathbed and his dragon scar is moving. It stops and then lights up blue as he realizes that he is the dragon just like Henry Kim said. This sends him to a calling back on the plane, and using his newfound power from his glowing scar, he forces Angelina into that calling. While she's distracted, Ben and Mick start to get all those people out there. Get the sapphire, bro. She's in a calling. Like, that was the chance right there. Grab one of those bricks to the side, boom, boom, real quick. That was the chance. Back in the calling, as Cal is trying to stop Angelina, she of course uses a fake Grace calling to distract him. And as fake Grace asks Cal to join him in the afterlife and let go, Cal starts to actually die in real life. Like I said, we know what's coming. But in the calling, Cal realizes that this is a fake calling from Angelina and gets the strength to keep going. Dude, no way Angelina said that shit to Cal. You couldn't even save your own mother from being killed. Dog, I'm serious. Her death better be painful. But he grabs the sapphire in the calling, and in real life it explodes in her hand and Cal comes back to life in the house. Oh, wait, never mind, he dies right after. Back at the bird's nest, they notice the glow is fading from Cal's scar sample, and then the cops come in to raid the place and arrest them. Man, this is not the happy ending I was hoping for, like, at all. Oh wait, Cal is still alive, but his scar lost the glow, and now he's accepting death. Okay, they need to stop playing with me like this. Is he alive or is he dead? Zeke goes to get Olive to say their last words, but he overhears Team detectives solving the case. So they think that if Cal touches the Omega Sapphire, it would tip the judgment scales and save everyone. Zeke knows what he has to do. He notices his fingers are starting to look frostbitten, and what I got from this was, since saving Cal saved his life, they are always connected, so if Cal dies, he will die too soon after. So he decides to use his new powers this season to absorb all the cancer and death from Cal and ultimately sacrifice himself to save his life. The phone call between him and Mick, man, Jesus. I think it's just, I know these characters so well now that I actually feel for them, but this scene, man, this scene. Angelina still had little bits of Sapphire, but it looks like she's pretty much helpless now. Oh shit, is this it? Yes. Finally, dude, Ben, just get out of there, maybe throw an extra brick at her, and then let this girl burn, bro. Dude, there's no way that many bricks fell on her and she's still alive. Oh, perfect, there's a piece of Sapphire right next to her. Wait, guys, maybe this is finally it. Come on, dude, she's got superpowers now, bro. It's embedded in her. And then it turns out that Gupta was a snitch and says that Sanvi and the rest of Vance and everybody were playing with God. And so she told the government, so this must be why all the passengers are getting arrested. Dude, part 1 finale is brutal. Oh, and of course, you know, Egan is gonna start a revolution with his annoying ass. And Angelina ripped a bunch of tears in the earth, and this shit looks like the end of Stranger Things. Bro. So yeah, everything kind of went to shit. Gupta is the feds. They have never had more obstacles than they do now with the government against them, and now Angelina is a religious supervillain that is going to bring on the end of the world. Oh, and not to mention a top 5 character, personally, he's my 3rd favorite, Zeke, he's just gone now. There's just way too much to process. Let's discuss. So first I want to get my semi-review portion out real quick that I kind of do every video, but to be honest, it's pretty negative. I know this isn't the finale, but you could look at part 1 and 2 as separate seasons, and this being the lasting until a year and a half later or so whenever part 2 drops. I feel like it's going to leave a bad taste in my mouth. I think it was just the production value for me. Like, they were clearly trying to make this a blockbuster with the storyline, but more so with the graphics and the big scenes, it just felt so cheap, and like some of it was good, and in the past it's been fine. Like, I've never really had an issue with it, but it just kind of felt like I was watching a CW show. Like, I hate to be a dick about it, but I was just so wrapped into the story. I've just been so wrapped in these last 4 seasons that little cheap production things like that just kind of take me out of it and realize, oh, I'm watching a fake story. Like, I can't be over here actually shedding tears for Zeke and Mick, and then we see some of the CGI we saw this episode, you know? But anyway, let's talk about what we learned. So just like Sanvi said, the Major was right. Cal is the Holy Grail, but let's just take a step back real quick. So if we remember, the papyrus and everything that happened with Jace showed them that God is judging them all together, and in order to save the lifeboat, they all have to follow the callings, what we now know is the Word of God. The papyrus shows a literal scale, and whenever the passengers do something good or bad, or go against the callings for the callings, it tips the scale in that direction. So now in season 4, them and their lifeboat are way too far gone. Bring in Cal, the Holy Grail. So the papyrus also incorporated the Omega Sapphire, and anyone who had the dragon within them, like Cal and Henry Kim, were represented on the paper as the star constellation Draco, aka the dragon. And the tip of the dragon's tail touches the scale, and this can be interpreted as whoever has the power of the dragon can tip the scales in their favor to save them from Judgment Day, aka the end of the world. So this means if Cal gets his hand on the Omega Sapphire, which he did when he brought Angelina into that calling, he can save them and then the whole world. And we saw his glowing scar and his power start to form, but now that he was brought back to life by Zeke, it's safe to assume that he has the same powers, if not stronger than Angelina, who is the actual gem inside of her hand. Yeah, let's talk about her dumbass too. Not only is she not dead yet, she is more of a problem than she has ever been. I don't know how she survived all those bricks falling on her. Her skull should be cracked, but I guess like we do need a reason for part 2, so something did need to go wrong. I just did not expect everything to go wrong. I thought, yeah, maybe a character or 2 might die, but next episode is going to be the start of Judgment Day, so I guess I am still really excited to see that. They need a bigger budget for part 2. So going into the next episodes, we at least have Cal at full strength. When he died at first, I finally realized I do actually like new Cal. You don't know what you got until it's gone, and then comes back to life like 3 times. And now he has the power of the dragon, or whatever we want to call it, so I'm hopeful for a semi-happy ending where he at least saves the day to an extent. The government and shit is about to be super annoying, especially because they shut down the most important part of the show, in my opinion, the bird's nest. It's Gupta for real, bro. Like, for the rest of this show, till it's done, it's Gupta. Yeah, until they get the stone out of Angelina's hand or just kill her finally, it looks like we're going to see the apocalypse to some extent. Which kind of scares me because that will require a big budget, but it won't drop for a while, so let's just hope that they really perfect it. Again, this was the perfect way to end the year, and we can now start off 2023 with a bunch of theories while we wait for part 2 of season 4. So of course, leave in the comments what you guys think will happen in part 2 and what you thought of this episode and overall part 1. Again, thank you guys so much again for all the support this year. I can't wait to make more content for you guys. I'm always open to suggestions, so let me know what shows and movies you want us to talk about as well. And yeah, expect a few more Manifest Theory videos until we get the second half. We're all hoping the summertime, but we don't know. So make sure to turn on that notification button for future videos, and I'll see you guys real soon. Don't worry.